Hello everyone and welcome to Weekly Manga Recap here on March 29th of 2018. I am Nick, this is Chris, and we're gonna go back to the time of our youth, full of energy and vigor, Chris. We're gonna talk about that thing that makes us feel all healthy and young and energetic inside. Come on, you ready?
And not sick, yeah. That's what we're going towards. That stuff that makes us feel...
To the olden days of our youth when we didn't have the flu.
To our days of youth when our body's immune system was enough to kick sicknesses in a day.
I don't think that's how it actually worked.
No, I've actually gotten a lot healthier since becoming an adult. Like, as a kid, I can remember being sick for, like, days on end. And I think that's the last time I ever threw up for being sick was when I was a kid. I haven't actively thrown up for being an adult in a while, if I recall. I might be forgetting something, but... those jelly beans don't count, do they? Does that count for throwing up for being sick? That rotten egg jelly bean or whatever?
I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, we're going back. Nick, you know what movie just came out today?
No.
Ready Player One, Nick.
Oh.
And you know what that movie's all about?
Video games and nerd culture and...
Yeah! And that's why we're doing Pokemon! 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 It's our youth, Nick.
I don't know if Pokemon appears in Ready Player One, but okay.
Probably does. It's too cool for that. But we're talking about Pokemon, so it's like we're doing our own Ready Player One today, because we're talking about Pokemon, which is our youth.
Can we talk about how because we played Pokemon as kids, that means that we are the saviors, the chosen ones, who through our knowledge of anime trivia can become the saviors of the internet world?
See, here's the thing. I have an issue with that knowledge because I consider myself somewhat very knowledgeable on Pokemon. You know, I played all the games essentially at this point, except for like a couple spin-offs. And, you know, I've watched a lot of the show. I played the card game to a certain extent. Like, I have knowledge of Pokemon. I know I wouldn't be the savior of the Pokemon world because no matter how good I think I am, I always know there's some asshole out there who's memorized, like, IV patterns and shit like that that's going to be way better at the game than I am. That's the guy who'd be saving the world. And then they're probably a person you don't want to interact with. I'm not going to lie. They're probably not very pleasant. Who knows? I mean, it could be great. It could be John Cena for all I know. And he's a very pleasant man. But I don't know. So I just know, like, the notion of...
Are you ready for your EV traded?
So I feel like... It's Jigglypuff. I'm just saying...
Let's be real. John Cena would use a Jigglypuff. Come on.
It's the closest thing to a rapping Pokemon that's out there. So, plus it's white. So, the notion of, like, the guy in Ready Player One being like, I know where all the Easter eggs are because I'm a huge trivia nerd. It's just like, you're still not good enough to be the best at this game because there's some dude who's memorized, like, fucking frame animations way better than you have. And they're
knows how to hit the button at just the right point that it guarantees that, you know, the one-hit KO moves are 100% effective or something like that.
Or just, like, is able to memorize, like, a certain pattern that, like, he already has, like, a crazy pattern. Or he just game breaks, you know? He hacks his way through walls or some shit like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I use tool-assisted speedruns. That's my passion in life.
Or it could be that the savior of the world is the Twitch Quiz Pokemon bot.
It's a dark world. It's a dark world if that's what we're having to accept.
He's our savior. He's come to save us. He's walking into a wall. Oh, no. He's in a corner with 3 walls. He's going to be there a while.
It's going to be a couple days.
Yeah. He'll get here. He'll get there eventually. He'll win.
Come on, everyone. Vote democracy.
Come on, Bird Jesus.
Didn't Zapdos become, like, a member of the team, too? They use, like, Master Ball and Zapdos?
Somehow they managed to get Zapdos, and between that and leveling Pidgeot up to like level 83 or something like that, they were pretty good to go.
Good times.
Anyway, we are talking about we're continuing our JoJo's Bizarre Pokemon Adventure this week with the 5th and 6th parts of Pokemon Adventure. Technically, it's the 4th, but it's the fourth collected. It's the fourth collected bundle. Okay, yeah. Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Emerald are the yes.
So you get the collective bundle like that.
That's the collective bundle. Yes,
but it contains 2 different parts that are largely separated in plot.
It's a bit weird because the three different ones that we've done before this one have been red, blue, and yellow, then gold and silver, then ruby and sapphire. The second and third of those were just one story. The first one was like one story and then its sequel. This one is one story in two parts. It's a little bit different than I would classify the first one because it's more heavily connected to the two are more heavily connected than I would say that the red, blue, and yellow are. But you still really need to talk about them separately, because you are following different characters throughout them. First, you've got basically the return of red and blue going on an adventure, while green is also involved, and eventually silver gets involved, and yellow. But then everyone else basically comes in the second part and introduces the 10th Pokedex holder.
Everyone's favorite, Emerald.
Shut up. So, oh my God. I've been waiting for this one. It's a little bit weird. I have mixed feelings about this part of Pokemon Adventures as a whole. I feel as though it's a part that contains some of the best moments in all of the manga for me. It's kind of like a big. It feels sort of like an anniversary event or a crossover event, like you get with comic books, where it's like, okay, we've hit a milestone, so let's do this big thing where everyone comes together in order to fight one big bad guy. And there is something like that happens at the end of the whole thing, and everything kind of comes together after you followed some characters that you have kind of had to take a back seat for a while up to this point. But there are some problems with kind of the overall aspect of it that I have. The first one, I think, is a very, very basic plot with some confusing elements for the setup. And the second has the worst protagonist in the series. So it was kind of a struggle for me to read through this, because it was just I kind of over time held on to those good memories, and man, I forgot how annoying Emerald is. Like I had complained about him from the beginning, but God, he's just, I don't know.
You need a moment to collect yourself.
Yeah. Well, and in order to focus on the positives a little bit, just kind of like there's one thing that I took away from this way back when I first initially read it, which is there was one shot that had a really big impact on me, and it's the shot that I sent you just before we started recording. Basically, the context is that in order to confront this new enemy, Red and Blue meet the crone, I guess you could call her, that teaches, your starter the best, elemental move that they can learn. The equivalent of Hyper Beam for your starter. You get to go to her and she'll teach it to them. But there's a training montage in the Pokemon Adventure manga, basically to completely, fully attune the trainers with their starter Pokemon. And there's a really bizarre sequence that happens where they're like running between train cars while a conveyor belt goes under them, and they're fighting each other / fighting other people. It's very strange. But there's one moment where they fight against a Meganium and a Typhlosion who know the move already. And so Red's Venusaur and Blue's Charizard are fighting them, and then they unleash these ultimate attacks, and it blows a hole in the wall because they're so powerful. And so the Charizard and Venusaur just look over and they're like, holy shit. And that shot of Venusaur is something that I've made my avatar for on my Steam profile for like 10 years. I just love that shot of this giant dinosaur plant thing just going,
He's like, let's go. Oh, God. Fuck. I can dig it. There's a couple things that I want to say off the bat that I really like about this one. I think that this is one of the first parts of Pokemon Adventure I've read that's really impressed me with the art style of it. I feel as though this is the part where a lot of art scenes were particularly impactful and really gain across the weight of certain moments. Like, there's a moment where, and this isn't too much of a spoiler to say, it's relatively early on. Essentially, the first part of this is about Red, Blue, and Green kind of getting back together for a big plot involving Deoxys. Or Deoxys? Is that how you say it?
Deoxys? I don't know.
They're coming together, and for Green to
DNA Mewtwo.
Yeah. And for Green to kind of get wrapped back up into this, she's like on her way to meet her parents again for the first time since she was a child and take it away from them. And she's going to meet them, and that's when Deoxys shows up and like kidnaps them away. And it's a silly thing in Notion where you're just like, why would it? I mean, I guess it knows, but it's still weird. It's a very like specific thing of like targeting out you, I guess, because you're whatever. The fact of the matter is that seeing her parents ripped away from her right before she was finally going to reconnect with them is essentially sends Green into like a catatonic shock, and she falls into a coma over it. And the art portraying it carries that across really well. It really does feel like a part of her has just been ripped away. And there's several other shots throughout the series that really do just carry a lot of emotional, dramatic weight through the art. And I really appreciate that. There's a lot more composition shots, a lot of things that just kind of use scale and weight and just size a lot more effectively, some new innovative kind of paneling and things like that. I really feel like this series has kind of stepped up its own technical aspects to it.
It felt kind of like it almost became fully realized, I guess. Like, say, okay, this is Pokemon Adventure. Like, it doesn't need to, like, kind of reach a level that you're expecting anymore. It's like, okay, there it is. Good. And yeah, there's a lot of great emotional moments in this story. One of the reasons why I say it feels like a crossover is because there's a lot of characters involved in it, and a lot of them get, nice emotional payoff in the story from like all three generations that are featured up to this point. So
I want to note one other thing that kind of goes hand in hand if your enjoyment of that Venusaur reaction shot. So one thing that the Pokemon Adventure series has to do is has to constantly use all the shit the games keep giving them. So it has to be like, oh, okay, so we have to figure out what the fame checker is going to do in this fucking game. And my favorite is when they meet Bill, and he's like, it's my Versus Seeker. And he's like, what does it do? It lets you find trainers that want to battle you. He's like, so I could use it right now to try to fight trainers? No, it only allows you to fight trainers who are willing to fight you. And Blue's like, this is fucking worthless. Just throws it over his shoulder. He's like, get this junk out of here. And I don't know if it ever comes up again after that. I think they say they use it to train at one point, but I just love the note. She's like, get this shit out of here.
Well, they kind of treat the devices weirdly overall in it. Like, Green's like, I've modified this Silph Scope so it will work on any type of Pokemon. She uses it to see Deoxys for the first time. And Deoxys is like, breaks it immediately.
Bitch, take them glasses off.
Suck half of them into a black hole. Fuck you. I'm taking your parents.
Yeah, give me these parents. I want this. One other thing.
Also, there's two Deoxys.
Well, here's the thing. So, as I said before, I played a lot of Pokemon, but one of the few that I never really played, I did do a Nuzlocke on it, but I never actually fully played Pokemon Emerald outright. So I have, especially when it came to the second part of this, when he's going against the Frontier Brains, all right. Well, I was just going to say that I was going into this with no knowledge of what these characters were like or what the experience in the game was like whatsoever. All that stuff was vaguely unrelated to me. And that even came apart at the first part where it's like, we're going to one island and two island. I think those were in Pokemon Red, Fire Red, and Leaf Green. I still didn't do that shit because I didn't have all like the online.
Post-Victory Road thing. It's like, go here, get more Pokemon stuff. So
well, I think you also need like game passes and shit like from online stuff to actually get the good Pokemon out of there. Like you can find like extra Pokemon in certain routes or stuff like that. But like I never caught Deoxys, I don't think, or things like that. Maybe it was available. I can't remember. I can never remember what were like event Pokemon anymore or what aren't because so fucking many legendaries at this point. But I have very little. This is one of the few parts that I have very little knowledge of the actual like game's narrative to be working off of.
Gotcha.
Outside of Diamond and Pearl, which we'll get to next time, where I just outright hate it.
Diamond and Pearl is going to be an interesting one because it's a It's a bit of a different setup. But anyway. Yeah, the plot in the first story, Fire Red, Leaf Green, is that, there's this new mysterious legendary Pokemon that's causing trouble. It's Deoxys. And it turns out that the villains of the story are Team Rocket again.
Oh no, they're back!
Giovanni wants a DNA Mewtwo this time. Slashy also wants Mewtwo still. God. The most important thing about, honestly, the villains is that it actually introduces a character who remains a villain either as a supporting villain or in the background for this arc and Emerald arc and the next arc. So a recurring continuous villain for several arcs is like, okay, that's pretty good. And there's actually a hint at the very end of this story that of the danger to come in the Diamond and Pearl chapters, which is cool. It was like by that point you kind of knew what you were doing in the next one. So
Team Galactic sucks, by the way. They're so bad.
Rank the Pokemon gangs for me. Because I don't know enough about some of them. Because you've got Team Rocket, Team Magma, Team Aqua, Team Galactic, Team Plasma.
There's Team Flare. I'm gonna put Aqua and Magma in the same bracket because they're essentially the same team. There's was that Plasma's the one from Black and White.
Plasma's 5th generation, right?
Yeah. There's Skull from the newest game.
Right.
And what was 6th Gen's team?
Didn't you just say it? Team Flare?
Flare? Yeah. Am I missing? No, I guess that is it. Okay.
So there are 6 gangs because Gold and Silver just had Team Rocket again. So
yeah. So from that, I would say it's probably Flare's the worst. Flare was terrible. They were like
I don't know anything about Team Flare. So
Team Flare was awful. Their entire gimmick was like the world must be beautiful again. That was it. They were like, we're gonna go back to a time of beauty. It was just nonsense. It was garbage. It's them at the very bottom. Then probably Galaxy. Then probably Aqua Magma, although I do love how cheesy and goofy they are.
The entire world must be covered in water!
Like, I love how cheesy and stupid their plans are. Then it probably is... you know what? I'm going to say... I can't let nostalgia stop me here, so I'm going to say it's Rocket, then Skull, and Plasma. Plasma, I think, was my favorite in terms of actually creating like a villain group that was like, this is interesting. This is way more complicated than a Pokemon villain team has ever been for a Pokemon game for kids.
Mm. All right.
But I love Team Skull because they're fucking, like, in universe, they're fucking nudniks. No one's threatened by them. Like, even in universe, like, these fucking assholes are holding up the road. Can you kick them out?
Oh boy. Okay, so let me see here. So Team Rocket is at it again, and it turns out that they have a kind of experimental Deoxys under their control because they're trying to lure one out, and it's weird. It's not important, honestly. When I was going through this game, I was just like, I don't care. I did not remember this from when I first read it, and I don't care now. They want Deoxys. That's all that matters. It's Giovanni. He's greedy. What ends up actually being important is that this is a chapter where we get big character development for Giovanni. Mm-hmm. Because we learned previously that Silver is his son, and they actually addressed that in this arc and kind of bring closure to that in a very badass moment for Giovanni, honestly. I still love that moment where he's like, just like, I'm not gonna let you die.
There are a lot of very cool badass moments in this series too, like in these 2 parts. The one where, and we've already kind of spoiled it, so it's not really too much of an issue to say, but Mewtwo shows up and it's like helping to hear. He's like, "Sup, guys!" Like he's just a step away from like turning his hat backwards and being like the cool older brother to show up at some point. We're just like, "What up, friends?" Because
he gets just, like the Super Smash Brothers brawl intro that he never got.
Yeah, just like Mewtwo has joined the fight.
He's dabbing for some reason.
Sick. So he's great in that, and then in the actual like end of the Emerald part, there's like this moment when I don't know how to describe it without kind of getting into it way too much, but essentially it's like a fight of all the Pokedex holders against like this wave of Pokemon. Like it's just
there's so many Pokemon that you can't tell what's going on.
Yeah, you have no idea what's happening, but you can grasp the spirit of the situation of just this utter chaos. It's like a wave of Pokemon fall over them, and just seeing like all of the heroes, except for like the two that are like don't fight Pokemon at all, are just like, let's do this! Like they're all going in and fighting, and you got like fucking Yellow in the background, like, I have special powers. This is bullshit. I don't know. I don't remember what Yellow did. I'm sorry.
I have a fishing rod.
But I just love how it has those epic moments still that just make everything feel like so over the top and goofy. It really is like the more Pokemon can become like Power Rangers in the manga is the better for me. And this is also my tangent topic onto the fact, Nick, Pacific Rim 2 is not very good.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It could have been, but it didn't know what it wanted to be. Because it wasn't dumb enough to be a good sequel to the last one, and it wasn't smart enough to be something better than what the last one was. There's only one moment that captures the stupidness of the last one. It's when they're talking to one of the scientists, and they're like, danger's happening. Like, they have to get over here to stop the bad guys. And they're like, you have some theoretical science that could help us. He's like, yes, but it's theoretical. And they're like, does theoretical mean it could work today? And then, like, the camera pans, like, zooms into his face. It's like, today, it means yes. Hard cut to the theme song montage. You're like, what? That was the line you chose to do this on? The theme
Today
song?
It means yes?
Yeah, today it means yes. And you're like, this theme song plays once in the movie. This is when you chose to play it?
Okay. I still have not seen that first movie, so.
It's alright.
Alright.
It's fun for being a very stupid, like, over-the-top, goofy movie.
So what you're saying, though, is that there should have been a moment when the 10 Pokedex holders, like, all throw out their ace Pokemon after, you know, like, shouting out, you know, yellow Pokedex holder! You know?
Yeah. Yellow Pokedex holder, yellow!
After all 10 starters are out, then they go for transition from one pose to another pose, and then smoke goes off in the background that matches their colors.
And I love it because they all announce their color and then their name, which is the same thing. So like, Gold Ranger, gold! Silver Ranger, silver!
If someone can somehow make a Power Rangers Pokemon for me... Because the characters in Pokemon Adventures are mostly great anyway, so it's like they would make a good Power Rangers team because they're very archetypical but memorable. So anyway, so the first part is honestly very basic when you get right down to it. This new danger arises. There's a lot of flying around between different islands, and Deoxys has the ability to access all 4 different forms because of some plot devices that connect him to the different regions. It turns out that the Deoxys is actually being used to capture another Deoxys who bonds with Red, and they go off to confront the villains, and the mysterious, I forget her name, like Sird or something like that.
Something like S-I-R-D, like Seared or something.
Sird. So she unleashes something from her Pokeball at 5 of the Dex holders, and it petrifies them. It turns them to stone! For some reason. Because they need to be there for another part that comes up in the next part. Yeah. So that they can all reunite. It's like, okay, we're just going to put you on hold, and we'll come back to you later.
It's like, and time out! And
literally nothing else happens. Like, there's some people like Billa's there and Oka's there. They're like, don't tell their parents about this. They've been turned to stone. End of part 5. Here, let's try to start part 6.
Just like, what? I want to know one other thing that's actually really bad about the first part, and this is something I hated. So there comes this moment early on where Red battles against Deoxys and he loses. We don't actually see what happens. We kind of cut over to another fight happening. It's one of those things where like 3 enemies showed up, so the 3 characters at the time go off to have these individual fights. And then when they come back, we find out Red's lost. And Red is so crestfallen from this defeat that he just puts on every imposter syndrome issue he had with himself into one moment where he's just like, Professor Oak say he didn't want to have Pokédexes. It's because he doesn't think of us.
No more Pokemon Power Rangers. Pokemon X-Men.
He's just like, oh, Professor X doesn't. Professor X.
And blue team will be led by red, and gold team will be led by Crystal.
And he's whining that Professor Oak must have known that he wasn't good enough for this, and he should never be a Pokemon trainer. He doesn't understand how anyone can find him. And it goes through this process.
It wouldn't be a Pokemon Adventure arc without the protagonist guilt-tripping themselves over that, though.
Yes, but it's 3 books that cover this thing, and his angst is a book. Like, you're just like, get over it, dude. We don't have time for this shit.
You gotta go save Deoxys and Deoxys. But, yeah, so that's what red, blue, and green, and also silver are getting up to. And there is a moment in that, I believe that it happens in the fire red, leaf green part where, because Giovanni, I don't think he even actually, yeah, I'm pretty sure Giovanni isn't actually around for the Emerald chapter.
No,
I forget what the offense is. But, yeah, there's a moment where, you know, like, Giovanni is like, my son! And there's like, going to fall into this inferno unless he manages to grip onto the side of this fallen aircraft carrier in one hand and holds his son up in the air with the other hand. And he realizes that his son kept this handkerchief that he gave him when he was a little kid. And so he was like, no, he's not my real dad. And everyone's like, he did save you from a towering inferno. I mean, he's kind of a dick, but he did save your life because he loves you. Father! It's very emotional. It's nice.
I mean, it's a little weird when then you realize that Giovanni is still, like, a pretty, like, world-renowned terrorist and things of that nature, so...
He's still a jerk. Like, it's not like, you know, after he was defeated the first time, he's like, I will renounce my ways, or I've learned from my mistakes. Like, he's still trying to get the legendary Pokemon and rule the world. It's just that he's a more complicated...
He loves his son now, too, while he does it. Which is weird, because the games never really touched on that. And that was something you always could... Like, it was after his defeat at the hands of Red... that he supposedly gave up Team Rocket, abandoned it altogether, and then went into, like, hiding. You could always assume that from that, maybe there was some redemption there, like he learned from his ways, and then, you know, met up with Silver, because Silver was also somebody who was learning from his wrong ways and things like that.
Well, and apparently, and there is a theory because...
Apparently there's people saying there's an event that covered that. I'm sorry, I don't fucking get all your goddamn fucking mystery gifts.
There was... a theory that came out of this, I think partially out of this manga, was that in the games as well, Silver is supposed to be Giovanni's son, because it is established that Silver, despite being a dickhead Pokemon thief, he does hate Team Rocket, and he actually is beating up a couple of their grunts throughout the game and stuff. So,
that's right. They did do something where he makes like Team Rainbow Rocket in the new fucking games.
Team what?
Rainbow Rocket.
What does that even mean?
It looks like it's a new version of Rocket intending to continue his evil schemes in a different reality. So he's evil again, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, that's a shame. Oh, well. Anyway, so that is nice that there is that resolution of that idea there, though. And, you know, it's character development for one of the Dex holders. So from there, unless you have anything in particular about the first part you want to talk about.
No, I mean, the first part's really, it's super solid. It's like a fun little taste, almost, of going back to those old characters, which is appreciated. Yeah. And that's kind of what Leaf Green and Fire Red were. It was like an update to those games. It still preserved the original feeling, but gave you some updates to make them a bit nicer. Like, you know, I like that Green now feels like she has an actual design as opposed to before. It's like girl in black dress.
Yeah.
And now like she actually has like the
she really benefited from getting that Leaf Green makeover. Yeah.
So I dig it for that, if nothing else. Like it's just a nice update to that. That was a good taste of everything.
Speaking of poor character designs that they had to come up with for the manga. So the Emerald chapter. There's this thing in Pokemon Adventure that, you know, it makes sense that they do it, which is, okay, there's a new game out, there's a new feature in the game, this feature in the game has to be highlighted somehow, whether it's team battles, whether it was Pokemon contests in the previous arc, whatever. The gimmick highlighted in Emerald is the Battle Frontier. Now, Chris, you just said you didn't really do that.
I played, I think, the Battle Tower, which was in like black and white, and it was awful. I hated it. I was like, this is just boring. Like, why am I fighting 98 goddamn battles in a row for fucking nothing? This sucks.
And and a lot of them you don't even use your own Pokemon, so what's the fucking point?
Yeah. Or it like smashes your Pokemon down to level 50, and it's like, oh, so I really the only way to be good at this, to be better at this, is to do shit like EV training and IV fucking breeding and shit like that.
So, first off, that was already stupid. Now, I say that, but Pokemon contests were something that I was not into at all. I really didn't. I mean, I tried them out a couple of times. I was like, okay, but whatever. And I just kind of like, well, whatever. I'm not going to bother doing that. And then it turned out that they were actually this really intense, interesting thing that was really closely tied into Ruby's character and his values and the stuff that he needed to get over, which is also the case in the Emerald arc with the new protagonist, Emerald. The thing is, his character hang-ups that he has to get over, he starts off one way, and the whole arc, in terms of how it relates to him, is about him getting over his feelings of inadequacy, embracing his true feelings, and basically not being ashamed of the person that he was as a child, and acknowledging that he is good enough as a person despite all that. I still hate him. When you first see Emerald, he looks stupid. He's wearing this smock with sleeves that go down to here. His hair makes me want to punch him in the face. And his whole thing is he's obsessed with the Battle Frontier, and he wants to become its champion. He wants to beat the Battle Frontier in, true I'm going to take on the Pokemon League fashion. But he doesn't like Pokemon. And so, because it's like, I just got to use the rental Pokemon, and I'm going to beat the Battle Frontier that way. All right? That's fine. Okay. Why is he friends with Latios and Latias? He doesn't like Pokemon. He keeps no Pokemon. But for no reason, it's never explained, he's friends with the psychic space dragon legendaries who are just fly him around to different places and talk to him and are friends with him. It's like, there's never any explanation as to why they're his friends.
Well, it's weird because they do explain at the very end, like at the very last part, they sort of explain that he's like, no, he actually doesn't really like Pokemon battling. And instead, he actually really does like Pokemon. It's this giant contradiction he's had from the fact he was bullied as a kid for having to use Pokemon for help his entire life. So he transplaces that anger towards the Pokemon instead. And it's this giant contradiction.
I'm going to show you I don't need to depend on any Pokemon for anything. I'm my own man. I can do everything by myself. Thanks for flying me around, space dragons.
Yeah, and you're like, it would make a little more sense if there's some more like hesitance there in the Latias and like Latios connection. But then I also want to note, guys, it's fucking bullshit. That fucking kid grew up with a Lileep, like a fucking fossil Pokemon just hanging around him all the time, and Lileep's trying to help him out. He's like, get out of here, stupid Lileep, and like pushes him away and be like, fuck you, you had an awesome Pokemon, Lileep is dope.
I hate this fucking kid. It's fucking Brad. Like, the whole thing is that he is tiny. You could pick him up and punt him 50 yards. And I can't punt a football 50 yards, but I could punt this kid 50 yards. And so because of that, he's really short. He's small. Look, sometimes those who are not as physically advantaged as others need a little bit of a help. That's fine. He relied on Pokemon. Pokemon were happy to do that for him. Some asshole kids were like, you need Pokemon to help you. And he was just like, no, I don't. Fuck you, Leap. It went off to reinvent himself. Comes across, for no reason, the mighty Emerald Gem that was created to control Rayquaza the way that the red and blue stones were used to control Groudon and Kyogre in the previous arc. And it's just like, I'm going to wear this on my fucking forehead. So he did. And it's literally only there so that he can help turn away the Pokemon that the villain uses against him at the end, because it's, you know, use control Rayquaza, so he uses it to control, to kind of subconsciously repel all of the Pokemon that are coming after them and stuff. That's the only reason. But he's just like, and then he's like, and I'm going to reinvent myself. And so he just kind of traces in the ground. It's like, all right, so I'll get these boots and I'll get this super cool, awesome hair and these extendo arm things. And then a scientist just comes in and is like, I'll help you. Well, and instead of being like, no, I don't need anyone to, he's like, sure, I'll accept your help because you are a human.
Was it a scientist, or was that supposed to be the trick house master?
Yes, yeah. He's like, I'll help you with this.
Well, see, that's the thing, and that's maybe why I hate this guy to a certain extent. Is the trick house is one of my least favorite parts of Ruby and Sapphire, where it's like, go to this house and do some random bullshit for a while, get a shitty TM you don't want for a while. You're just like, this sucks. Why is this here? I don't hate Emerald, though, to the same extent that Nick does. I can certainly see why Nick hates him to this extent, because he is definitely an annoying sort of character. But I'm going into this rather divorced from a lot of other stuff right now, especially because I was divorced from even though I acknowledge that Wally was a character, which I imagine is another reason why people probably don't like this kid, is because he basically takes Wally's place as that, like, third trainer of that. And I can see why he's really annoying to that extent, but I don't know. I just don't have that huge of an issue with this character. He's not particularly interesting to me, and I think it's all kind of caught up in the fact that the Battle Frontier as a whole just doesn't interest me at all. It just sounds awful. Like, even when they explain it in the fucking manga, it sounds horrible. They're like, all right, well, you have to do 7 battles in a set, and at the end of the 6th set, you'll fight me. And I'm like, wait, he has to do 49 fucking battles to face the gym leader? What fucking nonsense is that? That sounds horrendous.
There's actually kind of a funny moment at the end where, like, the reporters were, like, forced to sit through all this, and then they're just kind of ignored. They were like, you made us sit through all that! Shut up and talk to us instead of fucking each other, you fucking nerds!
It's just like, oh, God, why?
Also, he wins that final fight against the guy because the subtile that he was given was actually level 51 instead of level 50. So it wasn't affected by sheer cold, because one-hit knockout moves don't work on Pokemon that are a higher level than the one using it. So literally, he only won that battle because he, again, lucked out from circumstances. So this kid has his whole like, oh, but I don't look, I can't actually help you. Now I realize, like, I've been weak this whole time. It's like, well, maybe if you had actually demonstrated your own fucking worth with stuff before instead of shooting your fucking dirt gun at things. Oh my God, this dirt gun. I hate his dirt gun. It starts off looking like an alien pistol, and then it splits open to reveal that it's actually a cup full of dirt with a little statue of himself with mechanized arms that fling the dirt out. And for some reason, the dirt, if it comes from an area that the Pokemon he's shooting at is from, it gives them a sense of nostalgia. And so they calm down if he traces a seal of calm you the fuck down ninjutsu over them.
Well, see, that's the issue, is that we have to respect that there's no way that adding feelings of nostalgia to somebody would calm them down, because that only brings out their nerd rage.
Exactly!
You're just like, this dirt was better back when I was a kid. They've ruined dirt now!
The subtitle just puts his glasses on. It's like, it was better when it was better when I was there. How dare you fling dirt at me? Oh my God. So he's there to fucking do the Pokemon battles, and he's like, I don't care about Pokemon or Pokemon trainers, I just like battling Pokemon. So he's basically a slave driver. It really takes it. He just turns into like a cock battler. It kind of removes that whole sense of bonds and friendship when he's there like, I don't care anything about these guys who are fighting for me. He has that breakthrough, and I know that the whole point of the story is that this isn't who he actually is. He's in denial over his true feelings for Pokemon, and he develops over the course of the story to embrace that, and he becomes a better person. I understand that that's the whole point of it. And so reading this through the second time made me feel better about him and worse about him. because the overall part of it is like, okay, I know where this is going, and I know that this is the whole point of everything. So I get that. I'm not really angry about him as in concept. But then just seeing the individual little moments that piss me off, his stupid little gun, the way he just slaps people around for no reason and acts like he's so great. He literally rushes off in the middle of his whole, tournament ladder thing to just pee off the side of the building. They're just like, fuck this kid. So just don't like him. He's just annoying.
I will give it this. He definitely fills a unique kind of role with everything. The idea of almost being a trainer who uses like tricks and gadgetry to get ahead. It's something different. He could have just been another strong trainer, but they went with something a little bit different from. And it's sort of that thing that whenever you are the titular character in the Pokemon Adventure series, you are the best one or the most important one in that moment. Like Yellow was the most important one when Pokemon Yellow came up or whatever. Emerald being so important here when he doesn't really have much of a team to call his own or anything like that. It would be annoying, but this is one of the few times where he didn't feel like he was the only important person at the end, because this becomes almost like, a big Power Rangers like team up again where every other Dex holder comes in. And they have
it's the anniversary special, so everyone gets a little highlight kind of thing.
And they even did something really cool, too, where there's sort of like a new antagonist in this night called Guile. And we get...
Guile Hideout.
And we get a reveal from...
Can you imagine? He's like, all right, Guile, yeah, okay, like from Street Fighter, he's like, Hideout, what? What?
It's like, do I have to use the whole name?
Yes, I wrote it down on this slip of paper. Therefore, it is a binding contract for you.
Jeez.
See, you've already signed it because that's your name. Fine.
And I like it because the reveal of who the villain is still kind of unique and fun, and it plays into a part where you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's it plays into a little bit of nostalgia. It's not that far away nostalgia. It is for me because it's one of the cool villains in my mind, but it's also a villain from not that far away in Pokemon's lore.
Oh my god, Bryce is the other guy in the mask.
But I really enjoyed that, and it even told like kind of a sad story within itself.
Yeah. It was a really quick little explanation of how he had gotten there, and then it was like, well, geez, nice to know that that death is just a thing that happens in Pokemon Adventures.
And he does not get a happy ending afterwards either.
No, you can just kind of disintegrate away into nothingness, apparently.
You're like, shit, dude got missing node. So I really enjoy those aspects of it. It's a nice little like send off for those characters, because I was wondering, I was like, we didn't see the other characters really show up in Ruby and Sapphire, did they?
No, not really at all.
And I imagine it may not keep coming back over and over again either. I don't know if like Diamond and Pearl, do we get any cameos?
I do not know. We have reached the point in Pokemon Adventures where I haven't read everything from past this point. I've read probably about the first quarter of the Diamond and Pearl chapters, but that's it. So for the most part, the next time that we come back to this and every time from then on out, we're going to know basically about the same about this series.
Okay. Well, there we go. To this extent, I will say this is probably my least favorite part of Pokemon Adventures to go through, but that's not for the quality necessarily of it. It's for the fact that I think it's harder to enjoy some of these side parts as much because they're not the main lineage of the game, so you're getting less new things. And it's more about enjoying something special as a reminder of the parts you enjoyed as opposed to being something wholly unique in and of itself. As you said, the plot's not really there from the beginning of the first part. And while I do appreciate the way the art went and the way they managed to put some really strong emotions out for these characters, particularly with like Green and giving her a lot of like emotional forward momentum and things like that, it still doesn't hold up against the scrutiny of like the other parts as a whole. As I said, like Leaf Green and Ruby or Fire Red are 3 books. And granted, the last one's really long, but still, it's 3 books in comparison to the others, which are like 7. So there's just not as much time to tell that kind of story.
It's definitely a series. It's not a point that you want to jump onto Pokemon Adventures in. This is a point that it's for the people who have been reading it up to this point to get, some development for characters that they're already familiar with, and also to see how far some of them have come. You know, like I've said before, Gold's my favorite Dex holder in the series, and he gets to look really good in this one because he kind of shows these flashes of leadership. He's still the same mischievous, wisecracking asshole, but he really takes charge when the previous generation aren't there. He's the one that kind of spurs people into action and gets stuff going, even when he's pulling out weird schemes in order to get stuff to go forward. And then when it's time for the big battle at the end, he's coordinating and keeping pace with Red and everything like that. And then there's the stuff with Silver. There's the stuff with Green. Blue is kind of the most mature, is very much kind of solidified as the mature member of the team who is kind of always a level head and is always kind of bringing people back to Earth.
He's still an asshole too. Not like not like a douchey. Well, yeah, very much like not like an awful asshole. Like, God, I can't stand this guy, but a guy you're like, yeah, I'm glad he still has this character trait to him. Because when Red has his like moment of panic, Blue's like, get your shit together, bro, and then just leaves. He's like, keep it the fucking together. God damn it. Get this fucking fame checker first to sneak out of here too.
Where did I throw that thing? Here it is.
Throw it again.
Oh man, what are some other stupid things that were in the Pokemon games? I feel like there were some others that were just like, why the fuck does this even exist?
I mean, Fame Checker was definitely one of them. There was a lot of different variations of item searchers. This Nav or something like that from Diamond and Pearl. That was the first time we ever had a touch screen. So
he goes back to Hoenn and picks up the berry mixer thing. He's like, fuck this thing. Ah!
Why would anyone need that? It's just crazy because that's supposed to be like a giant 4-person device. So he just like listens just suplexes it.
It's stupid.
Nobody likes making berries.
Yeah, that's Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Emerald chapters in the books. We will, I'm sure, come back to do the Diamond, Pearl, Platinum chapters much later down the line, I think. All right. Let's do the recap portion of the Manga Recap, everybody.
Let's do it.
This was a very action week for manga, I would say. Like, I mean, there was some plot progression in a few of them, but there's a lot of fighting to get through. So I think a few of these are going to kind of blow past. So starting off, as ever, with My Hero Academia, number 176, Deku versus Gentle Criminal, with a cool 2-page color spread at the start. I love how Gentle's pose is him getting tea ready. So, yes, Deku has confronted Gentle and is going to try and stop him from getting to the school festival to mess things up, or even to, raise the alarm, which would subsequently mess things up. Gentle decides that, all right, well, he recognizes me, and just tells La Brava to get the camera rolling since they might as well just start right away. He throws off his trench coat in a really cool sort of semi-full page spread, honestly, as he's casting it off. I love the pose that he strikes and the kind of whirling motion he's making as he casts it off. Also, I like the, kind of reality check that he's doing this directed towards La Brava holding the camera rather than directing it towards Deku. So he's just like posing right in front of it.
He's just like, get all the good shots. Just like, what are you doing? I'm going to fight you.
And then we see that Gentle's quirk is elasticity. He can grant elasticity to anything that he touches, including the air. So when Deku rushes in to attack him, it turns out that when Gentle casts his cloak off, he actually made the air in front of Deku all rubbery, so it just repels him away. So really cool use of that idea for a power. It's interesting because he's like, okay, when you think about it, it's elasticity. That's kind of just a variation on, Luffy's ability, but he uses it in a completely different way because he makes things rubber instead.
Until Luffy awakens.
Yeah. You can just imagine Oda reading this. Ah, fuck!
God damn it! Fuck, cocksucker, fuck!
I was gonna do that!
Cocksucker, god damn it! Where it's like, it's not like fully original. We've seen other people do this before. He's like, oh, god damn it, I don't care.
Oh boy. And I think if I can, I'm not sure exactly what happens in the next sequence of shots, but I think that, oh, okay, yeah, that's what happens. So, the next thing that happens is Deku's just like, all right, he just kind of runs forward again, and Gentle just turns the ground in front of him into a huge ass trampoline, so he rockets him into the air, and then Gentle's like, all right, yeah, he uses a grasshopper. And then he's like, and now I'm going to use more grasshoppers, and just starts bouncing himself and Labrava away to get away from Deku. And of course, it's at this moment that Deku has his chance, because he can't maneuver himself while he's in midair. He doesn't have that ability, but he can use the gauntlets. And so he thinks to all the people who are depending on him. He remembers to a conversation that he had with Eri, where she said that she was really excited and looking forward to the festival and seeing the show that Deku's class is going to put on. He remembers when they were in class and talking with Jiro about stuff. And apparently Jiro also takes really big notes, just very, very differently from how Deku takes them. And she's actually been taking notes basically in order to she wants to help out in order to help people to improve for their for the band and stuff. And we see her kind of helping out like Tokuyami with his guitars when Bakugo is like, you need to make your playing grittier, which I don't know exactly what that means either. But
I don't know what it means. He also snapped his drumsticks in anger.
Those are hard to break that way, too, if you've got a good drumstick. But yeah, she's like compiled these advice notebooks after, I think that this is meant to be after she's gotten some advice from Deku on how to basically be a better band leader. And so Deku, thinks about all this. He thinks about, Ashido encouraging him to dance better and stuff, and Toshinori's training, and there's this big full-page spread, very awkward pose, but it's still really cool looking because he's hanging upside down in the air, preparing to flick his finger. And he flicks it, and the gauntlet propels it forward, and it launches a pressure blast that strikes Gentle in the back. Yeah, it's cool.
It is very cool. It's Delaware Smash Air Force, which is such a cool name for that kind of move.
Yeah.
And I definitely dig that.
It's not enough to completely blow Gentle away, so he's just like, all right, another trampoline, and they just keep on bouncing forward. But this gives Deku enough time to bounce off of a telephone pole and catch up to them, and he grabs Gentle by the coat and collar, and so they go crashing off into the side of the building away from Labrava to end the chapter. Cool little fight scene, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. It's interesting that chose to have Deku kind of learn and develop these combat abilities, and really such a throwaway little story arc against such a minor villain. But I guess that's, kind of just part and parcel for the series. He's constantly learning.
True. We also don't know how long this fight's going to be, because it seems as though Gentle himself has been built up enough that I don't think they're going to throw this guy away in just a single 2-chapter fight or something like that. I imagine he'll be around a lot longer. And they also kind of built up the idea that he's not like a true villain in the way that others are. So maybe his fight with Deku is going to take a different turn too as well. It would almost feel, I'm actually kind of digging this, because I think if he just invades the academy again, it's like, come on, this is like the 6th time this shit's happened at this point. UA's class gets attacked while they're out doing a ceremony or some special event or something like that. It's kind of nice to see a deal like Deku almost stops one of these from happening way beforehand or whatever. It just seems kind of unique. But who knows? Next chapter starts and fucking Gentle is impaled on a steel beam. Give me one last cup of tea.
No, this is not elegant. Labrava, bring me tea after spilling most of it.
Make sure my death gets on YouTube. Hashtag low gang.
Is that a thing?
I don't know. It sounds like it would be.
It sounds like it would be, yes. But yeah, fun little chapter.
I could dig it.
I guess we'll do Boruto.
Yeah, let's do that.
More combat. Fighting. It's so it turns out that the whole thing where they drained Ao's chakra in the previous chapter. By the way, this is what is this called? Like finale or conclusion?
Fierce battle conclusion.
Fierce battle conclusion. Yes.
Number 22.
And it turns out that draining his chakra with the lightsaber thing and then hitting him with the Rasengan, no, you're just kind of like, ow. That's basically it.
It's hard for me to enjoy this chapter the same way without thinking back to the bonus pod we just recorded.
Yes. Boruto, Ninja Son next. Ninja Son of Naruto.
Ninja Son of Naruto.
What it turns out the Rasengan actually did was it blew up the jutsu-absorbing gauntlet that Ao was wearing, so he can't use it anymore. So there was actually a point to doing all of this. And so Boruto's like, he won't be using that anymore. And then a bunch of lasers come down from the sky, and Konohamaru is like, Boruto, you idiot! And pushes him out of the way. And it's like, aha! I have drones in the sky! Vanguard 1! Shoot those assholes for me! Yeah, there's just like flying saucer things that are flying around Ao. Naruto got weird, and it's more like Gundam now in some respects.
Here's the thing, and this is something I can actually kind of really respect. One of the things that we do with Dice Funk is that each season moves dramatically forward from the last. So last season was much more traditional, like D&D kind of medieval times. Then this season's moved forward into modern. So it's like, you know, everyone characters have cell phones and stuff like that. And at first it is kind of jarring, but there is something I appreciate where it's like the idea that Naruto is now like a more kind of sci-fi based series, because the idea it's moved forward in the future, technology's advanced to move alongside it. It helps to make this series feel a lot more distinct from Naruto itself, when it's like, oh no, there's lightsabers and drones and, you know, special equipment techniques and things like that. It just helps to give that universe a more fleshed out kind of thematic feel and also combative feel as well. You could also start talking about different issues, the evolution of war, things like that. There's more to kind of go off of, and I appreciate that. Except it is jarring, but then again, I still haven't gotten over the fact that there were fucking like wireless radio communications in the first one. I was like, this is nonsense. Where'd they get this from? Using radios to help get cats out of trees. It's ridiculous.
Let's see. So Ao uses his drone things to shoot a bunch of lasers at everyone. People have to, you know, take the adults and carry them to safety and stuff. Boruto summons more shadow clones to try and attack Ao, and he's like, punch that one away, and punch that one away, and punch that one away. Aha, I gotcha! And he grabs Boruto, summons his wrist-mounted lightsaber thing, and he's like, hey, do you remember that thing that we're going to call back after this fight is over? The thing? Yes. So it's like that, but with the lightsaber instead of a screwdriver. Now I'm going to stab you with it. And, yeah, Sarada goes to try and save him, but lasers come raining down, and Mitsuki has to pull her out of the way. And Boruto's like, hey, if you're not a ninja anymore, then you can't beat me. And he disappears. It's like, it was a shadow clone. What? Someone in Naruto looked like they got killed, but it was actually a shadow clone. Oh, it never happens. But hey, he did make the illusion pretty good, because he actually put the gauntlet on the shadow clone to make it seem like he was the real one. And I was like, what the fuck? And Boruto comes out of the rubble, and he's got the lightsaber, and he cuts off Ao's arm and leg because they're cybernetic and stuff. So the lightsaber got used properly.
He did. He used it, and it wasn't just used to cut off an arm and leg. It was used to cut off an arm and leg that had never been cut off before, so it's less vicious. Yeah,
so you can actually put this on TV without having to censor it or anything like that. And then he Rasengans him, and basically that means they win. And then Ao's, you know, lying, broken and beaten, and Boruto's like, I've still got the screwdriver in my pocket! And he holds it up to Ao's throat, and I was like, yeah, you could kill me with that if you wanted to now. And Boruto's like, nah, you can have it. Your broken parts can be fixed, right? It's like, oh, see, it is a tool. they can be used to kill or to help someone. So you see, Chris? You see?
Yeah, it's really, really full circle. Let's see. So I like it on one hand because I do like the idea of him like bringing back the screwdriver and then like kind of almost having like the backhanded like, here's your, you could use this, you could repair yourself. It's like, you know, it's extending the hand of friendship, but it's also be like, fuck you, robot man, I beat you. But it's like, how much fucking emphasis is being given to this fucking screwdriver? I forgot he threw a screwdriver at him when he first met. Jesus Christ.
He holds a screwdriver to his neck when they're on the train. Everybody's like, okay.
Yeah. Boruto, can you stop pissing off the vet? Jesus.
It doesn't help that that chapter happened like 4 or 5 months ago because this is a monthly series, honestly.
Well, it's so weird. Like, it didn't feel like the screwdriver was that significant to get like 2 callbacks in this. Where it's
but Chris, see, the thing is, it's a tool. It's like a box cutter. See, you know, you could
fuck air gear up and
instead
down.
of causing 9/11, it can screw in the screw to stop this sorrow.
Why would you use a box cutter to screw in the screw?
Oh no, it could be a flathead screw.
I fucking hate air gear so much.
Oh god. So yeah, Boruto's like, you used to be a hero and an awesome ninja, and I can't forgive you for killing one of our mates. But it's like you said, it all depends on how you use it, no matter what it is. So even those powers of yours, you ought to be able to use them to do good. And Konohamaru is like, all right, good job, everyone. We totally won, and everything's fine now. And it was like, yeah. And then now sees a mysterious hooded and cloaked figure right overhead. He's like, oh no, it's Kashin Koji. And he's like, all right. And he just summons this giant fucking toad to crush them. And so... And I was just like, I will use a jutsu. And he uses it to throw Boruto away to safety. The toad steps on Ao, and Kashin Koji is like, the hero of the mist, Ao. So you used ninjutsu at the very end. Was it reflex, or did you stubbornly wish to leave this world as a shinobi? Which I actually have a tremendous problem with, because if I remember correctly, back to when I was a young lad and had more hair, Rock Lee proved he could be a ninja without ninjutsu. It is not the use of ninjutsu that defines what you are, if you're a shinobi or not. So, well, fuck you, Kashin Koji.
That was before they made lightsabers. Now Rock
imagine like Rock Lee gets this and he's just like, nobody even needs fucking.
He's like, there are lightsabers now. He's like screaming. He's like, God damn it! Why no one tell me? I could be the best ninja ever.
Oh my god! So yeah, everyone's like, "Oh no, a new villain!" And Kashin Koji's like, "Nice to meet you, Uzumaki Boruto." And maybe Ao's dead. Probably. I don't know.
I imagine so. It does look like he was crushed by a frog in every part of him except his like face.
Well, you know,
he could be fine. He's half robot at this point. Who knows? But it
was more machine than man.
But I do like this kind of story that they made out of Ao. I know it's a very different take than what we got on him in Naruto, but I kind of like taking a side character and giving them a bit thing, and also like the small redemption at the end that he wasn't going to let Boruto get crushed by this guy as well, so he used his last technique to save him, and it was a ninja technique as opposed to a technology technique. It's cool in that way. It also helps to make the villain group seem a little more threatening when they show up and they kill somebody, even though it was technically an evil member of their group.
Kashin Koji comes over the cliff face and he's just like, my kill. He's
like, mine. But yeah, I mean, I dug it, as a way to kind of showcase something different. I think the Owl character was a nice way of taking somebody from the other part and doing something different with them. And
yeah,
they rounded that story off, assuming he's dead here. They rounded it off in a nice way to give Boruto kind of like a necessary reawakening or back to reality kind of moment where he kind of realizes the danger that they're in. So I dig it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's slide over to Food Wars, Shokugeki no Soma.
Slide to the left. Slide to the right.
Crisscross.
2 steps this time.
256. white armors gleam. Tsukasa presented his dish. There is a shell over it, a golden brown salt crust, and he cracks it, and there is red meat inside of it. It is his, and then he puts, it's his specialty, the white armor plate. South chevre. I don't know French, but it's like it's like the white armor of a knight, Chris. And it's a venison dish, Chris. Venison, and it's super good. And everyone's like, "This is super good." And everyone who eats it is like, "Oh, an orgasm in my mouth and in my body." Clothes are flying off. It is summarized as Rindo's dish pointed the way, but not to a mere final dish at a banquet. It was a signpost to a gourmet Eden, a paradise where all chefs are freed from earthly troubles, a beautiful land of peace and tranquility that we all desire. And yeah, a bunch of people are just kind of like, we actually see the ants from the previous chapter carrying the butterfly girls, and it's like, we have arrived here in this Eden now.
Take
and
these.
There are people in robes. Yay! And then it pans out and reveals that the two dude bros from Polaris Storm, as well as American Flag Bikini Girl,
there we go,
Ikumi, who is not wearing an American Flag bikini. It's
a camouflage.
It's a camouflage bikini. They've been stripped down to their underwear. So the thing about look,
here's the
first of all, one of the dude bros is wearing a pair of boxers that reads Japan's #1 on them, which seems appropriate. So check it out, bro. My cock is the #1 Japan, bro.
#1 Japan cock.
The other one's wearing a fucking leopard print Speedo, which reveals all sorts of things about him.
Hey, you know what? That's some style.
They both go eek and cover themselves up the way that a stereotypical woman does. In fact, the boxers wearing dude bro covers up in literally the exact same way that Ikumi does.
Yes.
After going kya.
I see. Hold on. I want to talk about this for a second. So the way it's revealed is that this is a zombie's form of gifting. The way that Sensei-mon disrobes himself, this is his version of it, which he got from marriage, because he's not Sensei-mon's kid. It literally was something that as he married into the family, he just got it. I don't know how. Apparently it's like magic bloodline shit that transfers across with marriage.
Wasn't this established also in the Hayama thing? Like, the guy who married into the family had it as well, I think?
I can't remember, because I remember Alice's mom, I think, shows up at one point, and she had a version of it, I thought.
Well, she judged during the Autumn Festival, yeah.
But
I think it's her husband who shows up to judge the Hayama versus Soma bout.
Yeah. But what I love is they explain that's how he has it, and that's his version, is he doesn't disrobe. People around him disrobe. I guess selectively just picking out people, but it's so fucking hysterical to me because they don't bother explaining it. Like, someone tries to start explaining it, and like they have one of those things where like, oh, it just doesn't make sense. Now it's just like, well, if he married into the family, then that must be how he got it. And Hayama's
since Uncle Zami accepted the Nakiri name, it totes makes sense.
And you got Hayama's just like, what is up with that family? And Kuriki was like, that's just what happens. It's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. And no one explains it. And I love it so much for that, where the characters are like, this doesn't make sense. And someone's like, no, it totally does. And they're like, no, it doesn't. And they never explain it. They just move on with it.
Yes, it does. I like how Ishiki is like, offering clothing to Ikumi through the bars of the cells. Like, he's like, I do not approve of the way that you forcefully caused these women to disrobe. And Azami's like, I didn't do it on purpose. It simply happens, which makes him seem even scuzzier. But yeah, meanwhile, while this is going on, Yoshino's just like, yeah, Nakumi's basically wearing about what she normally wears anyway. So, so It's super awesome, really good, and everyone's like, "Oh, the two best chefs in the Totsuki Institute, a two-course meal created by the best these two had to offer could be nothing less than true gourmet." I do really like the full-page spread that Tsukasa and Rindo get with them posing together. Looks really cool. And then it's always just like, just to show off how fucked you all are, I shall recap what is going on now, which I do love. He's like, I just want to spell out how awesome I feel about this situation and brag about it and go full villain monologue right before I get my comeuppance. But yeah, he's like, come on, I've got the two best chefs in the school. Arena can't create true gourmet because she is presently contaminated and has forgotten my teachings. If you wish to win, you have no choice but to somehow use teamwork to create a miracle, and there's little hope of that happening. Victory is simply out of your reach. And then Soma, of course, is just like, all right, it's time for me to step up here. He says, this isn't the dish you made when we had our face-off. Is this your way of saying that you went easy on me back then? And Tsukasa's like, oh, yeah, right, that match, right. No, see, I just figured I didn't need to use my specialty to beat you. It's literally exactly what Soma just said. So, all right, so what you're saying is with this is that you went easy on me. Like, no, I just went easy on you. So,
you know, I like this chapter to a certain extent, but I kind of wish it had spent more time kind of, I don't know a better way to say this, but sucking the dick of Tsukasa's dish, because that's kind of one of the things I
really
love
just
about
kind
Food
of like
Wars.
Goes past it, yeah.
And it's like, this is the top seat of the council. Outside of like characters like Jorichiro and Azami, he's considered the best chef in this series as far as we know. And for this, which is the final fight in this tournament, and this is his dish, and we've only ever seen him present a couple other dishes before, for him to have had his dish served, and there's not that much time spent on it, and while it does have a big reaction, almost everyone who tastes it starts having their food gas or whatever, it still didn't feel as special as I kind of wanted Tsukasa's to feel like. It had okay moments to it, but it didn't have that punch that I really wanted to have, where it's like, oh, this is Tsukasa. This is the first seat on the council. This dude is hot shit. You know, he is a tough dude to get across.
I think it's probably a matter of the pacing and the way that the chapters are divided up, because you've got to leave off the chapter on that point where it's like, okay, someone's going to try and make it strike back in the next chapter. If you had had more time, then you could have had, you know, the proper attention paid to Tsukasa's dish, and then, wow, the resistance is fucked, and now here's the comeback. But because of the way that it has to be paced, something had to be kind of taken out, and they chose to focus on the council as opposed to Tsukasa. So I definitely get your point. I understand why it was also done that way. So, yeah. And yeah, Soma says at the end that he's gonna just have to do everything he can. He needs a specialty strong enough to beat even Eishi Tsukasa. I couldn't make it then, but now it's on.
It's on.
And he does look really awesome in this final image in the chapter too, when he's kind of popping his knuckles.
We may have to start going through some of these series pretty quick, because we still have both jump starts and the rest of our recap in about an hour.
I don't have a lot to say about Noah's notes. We learned a little bit about the fact that Professor Noah is part of some organization, and that there is a conspiracy organization, which is apparently the descendants of the Knights Templar, which I don't know how the fuck that makes sense. But basically, they're like Hydra. They're behind every bad event that has happened in the past 1,200 years or something like that.
That has become a really bad issue that I have hated in the recent memory. I tolerated Winter Soldier just because it's almost looked over very quickly when they're like, Hydra is a Nazi death cult that's been inside of S.H.I.E.L.D. from the beginning. Also, they're behind like everything, but they gloss over that so quickly you don't have time to like really sit down and acknowledge it. But I finally watched Wonder Woman, by the way, which is a mistake. Not a very good movie. Ooh. And they put in there, it's like, well, the entire reason of World War I was because of fucking Ares. And they even put in General, what is it? General Ludendorff, I think is his name, who was like a real general. Mm-hmm. That like, well, he was manipulated by fucking Ares to do all this, and he dies in a giant like airfield battle with fucking with the Wonder Woman, and you're like, what? He didn't die that way. He's a real historical figure. What are you doing? It's just that level of like, why would you rewrite history this much with these characters? That's the same sort of thing here, where it's just like, oh, another villainous group who was really behind all of the world's evil events. You're just like, come on, man.
That's basically all I have to say about the chapter anyways. Honestly, it was a real letdown for me because I was kind of like, okay, maybe this chapter will, really kick things off. And it's like, this is their thing. It's like, there is a conspiracy. Whatever. No. And then all of a sudden, I don't really care. The world is ending and nobody knows why. Also, there's a conspiracy. There's this, secret society. Whatever. I don't care.
Here's the thing. I could dig the Knight Templar part because I actually fucking loved the secret world. And that was a big thing. It was like the Illuminati, the Knights Templar, and then a fucking chaos theory, like, Chinese group. And those are, like, kind of cool themes to play with, the idea of, like, a secret, hidden, paranormal world behind the one that we exist in. So I totally dig the idea of, like, the Knights Templar still being around and that being, like, kind of a cool thing to work with. It's just one of those things that I almost kind of wish this had been stuff given to us a little sooner so we had more time to kind of digest it. I think it's a cool part to happen here because now that we have them there, it kind of presents like, oh, here's our villain group for the series, or at least one of them. But, who knows how long a series is going to run, and we may not get any more here. Of course, that's a reminder, guys, if you do love Noah's Notes and you want to see more of it, don't forget to take a survey. You can find it over on shonenjump.com. Put your thoughts in. You can help decide if any new series come into the English Jump and stay around.
Or not just Noah's Notes, but also Jujutsu Kaisen and Ziga, which we'll talk a little bit about this time. Basically, we just see that the way that they are going to fight this is the fact that our protagonist has this special kind of attunement. It's not only the thing that allows him to sense the Ziga creature coming, but it also allows him to interact with the technology that was, the gun that was pointed at him in the previous chapter. He picks it up when a smaller creature attacks a bunch of people while they're trying to rescue survivors. And it transforms into his hand, grows like a fucking mouth, and it blows away this mini monster. So there you go.
I mean, it's worth noting there's also a small group of, like, other characters around there. Like, there's, like, a fucking, I don't know what you'd call them, the shield of this universe, or the border of this universe, whatever, like, regular soldier people trying to help out here. And they're all fucking worthless.
Shoot it with guns!
It's like, all of our bullets are bouncing
Shoot it with the guns that we established in the previous chapter don't work!
Keep firing! Eventually it'll work! Like, whatever. Of course, then when he gets it, then it turns into a monster gun. And I'll admit, that is probably the coolest part of the series thus far.
It's really good looking, yeah.
Yeah. So I could dig it from that way, but
the pistol grows a fucking dragon mouth. It looked awesome.
It almost looks like it has a tongue too, but it's like a knife tongue.
So it's going to depend basically, I think, on where this goes in the future. It's got some interesting ideas, but I kind of want to see how they all come together. Is he going to basically have to, is because he has this affinity with the technology, is he going to have to get a freaking mobile suit and fight this monster? We'll see. Dr. Stone, Z equals 51. Sweets for the stone world. Sweets for the stone world. In order to make the cell phones that was established previously, they have to make a special device that will, basically explains how electricity and, sound waves work together over the course of several pages. And I do like how people are listening to this and like, I don't really get it. And Gen's like, actually, you're saying stuff that I don't get too, you fucking nerd. And Senku's like, and in order to allow this to happen, we need to make a cotton candy machine. And Gen's like, what? It has to do with the way that it gets wound. The copper wire or gold wire actually is going to coil around stuff in order to create all the stuff that they need in order to make the circuitry and stuff like that. And basically, they're going to just kind of make do a test run and make cotton candy instead. So they do. And boy, Chris, you know what? If you just want like a woman to just like leave you alone and like not worry about anything, stop being your mortal enemy, and not try and kill you anymore. Just give her something sweet. Give her some candy.
That's what those ladies want. Those skirts, those broads. You just give them some sweets and they shut right the fuck up.
They get those hard eyes. They just lose all sense of composure, and they'll be at your beck and call from then on. Just candy. Mm.
I do love Jasper eating it, though. I think it's Jasper. Maybe it's the dad. Because it's just like a shot, and like his hair flies up like an old cartoon character. Like, woo!
And then immediately goes back to the girls, and one of them's doing a freaking Liefeld pose. It's like, this is weird. Dr. Stone turned into Food Wars a little bit here. It's
just worth noting that I'm like, this almost seems dangerous. These people haven't really had like pure sugar like this before in life, and you just gave them pure sugar. It'd be like if you gave a child like he'd never had candy before, and you were just like, here's a pixie stick. And it just pours on your teeth. Wednesdaydale Cheddar, I admire being compared to Michael Shannon as the bad guy from Shape of Water. He's great in that role. He's having like a conversation with is Octavia Spencer. She's the one in the movie, I think. He has that conversation with her, and it's just like, God created man in his image. He looks across the table for the black one across. He's like, well, some of us more than others. Like, it's just such a shit fucking line.
Just a completely unnecessary remark.
It's so unnecessary. He was on a bad train already.
On top of everything else, I'm a racist. Oh, you're really surprised, though.
He was like, we're on the same team, but I want you to know I still think I'm better than you.
Oh, gosh. So they have this kind of like miniature party with the Kingdom of Science. It's like, here, have some candy, and then he like leaves out some cotton candy for this girl that Hyoga left behind to just spy on them, and he even leaves a note that's just like, hey, it's not poison, but if you're still suspicious, you could feed some of it to animals to test it, but no, it's just a gift for you. And she's just like, what the fuck is this, for a little while, but on the last page, she's taking a little lick of it. And she's like, It's so sweet. This is a weird chapter, okay?
It's a weird chapter, and I'm not 100% certain what they're trying to go with. Is this the idea that Senku is going to try to convert her to his team? Because he kind of plays the idea like, once they learn that we have sweets, some of them might switch sides, which would make sense. These are all stone-awakened people over there, so they do have a knowledge of, like, old food and shit like that, so maybe he could convert some of them. There is definitely a level of, like, sexism to this, where it's just like, those ladies, the way to their heart is through a box of chocolates, or in this case, another appropriate sweet that we can make at this point in time. And I don't know if I'm crazy about that to any extent, but I guess I'm kind of just intrigued to find what they're trying to do with this character. I just don't know what they're going for. It's just sort of strange.
I do think that, there's a little bit of an interesting thing. It is always interesting in that kind of, Hiruma aspect of it, where, Senku excuses doing something that is transparently generous and nice by saying that there is a manipulative, underhanded reason that he's doing it. Because he's like, hey, if you give us something this awesome, it might actually tempt some of them to switch sides. And, Rory's like, well, yeah, there's a strategic point to it, but that's not all there is to it. And it's like, yeah, hey, we made it anyway. Why not? It couldn't hurt to give them this.
I will be upset if this is all it takes for her to switch, I guess, because the thing I compare it to is the fact that Gen switched because he saw what Senku was trying to do, and he was impressed by the advancements he had made in science so quickly. And, he was also somebody who was converted for a food item, but the cola was essentially like the nail in the coffin. Gen was already on his way to converting at that point. It took more than just a single food item to get him to switch. If all it takes for this girl to switch is that she got cotton candy and was shown a little bit of mercy, or not even mercy, just, I guess, compassion of some level, or consideration.
Generosity, yeah.
Then it's like, I kind of get it from there, but it just feels weak in comparison to what we've already seen with Jen. Not that I'm against it. I think she could be a kind of cool character to see more out of. I really have no idea where this is supposed to be going.
This is different from tempting the villagers with ramen. This is, it's like they have decided to be on the other side of a war. And it's like, here, have some candy. Oh, okay. I will follow you.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see where it goes. It was honestly it felt very fillery, though. It's just like, okay, it's nothing really important happens. It's just this little thing, and that's it.
Yeah, it could amount to nothing. We don't know. Maybe she will at one point have a chance to take Senku's life, but she'll give him pause because of this act of generosity. Who knows? Maybe it's not a conversion completely, but something else. All right. Let's move on then to We Never Learn, question 56. Sometimes fate needs a predecessor to wrestle with X. So, essentially, this chapter is me last week, where Kirisu is super fucking tired and cannot function in any way, shape, or form. So the chapter starts off with Fumino essentially getting called out in class for falling asleep. And then cut over to Kirisu. She's working on this mini test, putting it together. She is, trying to fall asleep. Hold on, what's that, guys? Excuse me. She's falling asleep, and then she's just about to finish. Bless you. Bless you. She's just about to fall asleep when...
Bless me.
Her computer falls out. The battery died on her laptop, which is weird because it looks like it's plugged in, but whatever.
Well, she has it plugged into the computer, but then she realizes that the other side of it wasn't plugged in.
Oh, okay.
Which I have many problems with this. Not just because this leads into the entire shenanigans of the chapter, but because, come the fuck on, Kirisu.
She has no way of getting her life in order in any way, shape, or form. It makes sense.
What program was she using to make the test?
Yeah, that it didn't.
Was she writing it in Notepad?
Yeah, it didn't autosave at all. So
when I'm doing something as important as work on my computer from home, I'm not going to use a program that has any type of autosave feature.
So she stays up all night doing the test again, and because of it, she's super tired the next day. She slams her head against the back of the wall to stay awake. Essentially, as I was mentioning earlier, Nick, it was me last week trying to do the podcast where it's just trying to stay awake at points. So I do things like spray fucking electronic dust off in my mouth at one point. She has this moment where she's like, oh, okay, the test didn't go well, but, none of the kids saw me. She thinks maybe Yuega may have seen her, almost fall asleep, but, didn't. And then they have a school assembly in the afternoon, which I do love the moment where she's like, oh, this is hell. I have to pretend to be awake the entire time for this school assembly. And there's one moment she's just about to fall asleep, but then Yuega starts making very loud, sneezing noises. And that, gets her awake. And he's like, oh, sorry, I just, had a cold or something like that. Cut to later. She can't find her keys. He finds her bent over, and apparently her skirt has conformed so far up her ass that you can actually see her panty line during it. I don't know how that's possible. I assume that skirt's made out of tissue paper. I don't know.
It's made it... That must be it. It must just be the finest of material because it's, taut. It's not taut on her legs. It's just taut on her behind.
Yeah. And she can't fight her.
We spend too much time staring at asses in order to analyze these things, Chris.
I know. It's become my life at this point. That's why I want my legacy to be on my gravestone.
They just kept on throwing it at me, so I just decided eventually to embrace it.
I gave up. I was like, I'll hail the butt. Essentially, there's this whole thing. She can't find her key, and she finds out she stuck it inside the case that she puts all of her mini USBs in because she's a fucking imbecile who can't fucking manage any part of her life effectively. And
what is happening with her eye in that picture?
I think she's just stunned at her stupidity.
Well, yeah, but it's so there's the white, and then there's the iris, and then there's another ring inside of the pupil. Or there's a ring around the iris.
Well, I think it's just her eyes are inverted. Because normally I'd go white, color, black, and this it's color, white, essentially.
My point is that there's one too many layers to her eye in that picture.
Oh yeah, I guess there is, huh? Oh no, I guess she's going crazy.
Or maybe it's that I guess it could be construed as her pupil is large enough that it's reflecting light.
Maybe. I don't know. Look, the fucking point of the matter is she put her key in a USB case, she gets inside, she passes out because she's so tired, and Yuiga puts her to bed. And that's pretty much the chapter.
Manly Yuiga carries her bridal style.
There's a somewhat funny joke where she wakes up and she's like, I don't even remember getting into bed and everything like that, but good job, me. Like,
I do like that line. Well done, me.
I have those moments as well, but
I managed to adult.
This chapter is more Kirisu, who is my least favorite character in the series, and is always like a fucking drag. I do like the sweet sentiment that when she's about to fall asleep on stage, Yuiga like coughs to cover for her. It's kind of a nice element to do. Yeah. And I think maybe the one thing I like is that the entire idea of this relationship does not seem to be anything romantic yet. Maybe there's something on her end, but it entirely seems very much like just a friendship on Yuiga's part. And I think if that ever changes, my opinion of these chapters will plummet even more. But, you know, I just like the idea Yuiga's looking out for people. That's the nice side of him that makes him an admirable character.
Yeah. I also think that with the number of Kirisu chapters, I get the impression that someone really likes doing Kirisu over there. Like, I don't know if the response to Kirisu chapters is just really good, or if the author's just like, I love writing this horribly incompetent, irresponsible character.
I thought I heard somebody say that she's really popular over there, which would make sense for how many chapters she gets in comparison. Like, at this point, I think we've had more Kirisu chapters in, like, the past year than we've had, like, fucking, like, Fumino chapters or, like, Takamoto chapters at this point. Like, we've gotten a crap ton of Kirisu chapters.
Someone actually did point this out, and it was something that actually occurred to me, because she wakes up in bed and she's dressed differently than when he carries her. So it's like, did he undress her? And it's like, no, I'm pretty sure he just took her jacket off. I'm going to assume that that's the case, because can you imagine Yuiga doing anything different? Come on.
Yeah, that would be a pretty, like, horrendous thing to do.
It's like, yep, I just, undressed her and put her in her pajamas, whatever. All right. Let's go over to the Promised Neverland, Chapter 80. You have no right. So last time, Numa, one of the demon twins that was hunting them, got shot in the goddamn head. News, her twin, is really freaking out about it because his sister is dead. And they're like, this is actually really weird. Like, we've never seen demons, show this like level of sympathy even for each other before. But Sandy, I believe is his name, is just like, what the fuck? No, you don't have any goddamn right to start acting all sad and stuff after the crap that you've put us through. I'm going to shoot you in the goddamn head. But he gets thrown off when News starts to eat her. It's really weird, though. Like, very, very, very flexible jaws these guys have. Actually,
that's their thing. That's what they're all about.
Yeah. He actually like crushes her skull and just kind of like manages to like eat her entire head off, and everyone's just like,
question.
We should probably shoot him.
Can I go home?
So he raises his head after biting most of Numa's head off. One of the snipers shoots at him, and he's just like, I found you! And he just kind of bullet time dodges out of the way, throws a spear at them, and kind of forces the snipers to run. And then as they're running, one of them like turns around to look after them, and I don't know if he actually dashes behind her or if he just kind of like, I don't know. He comes up behind her and is like, give her back! And we cut away from there. Meanwhile, Giselle and the World War I flying ace. Was it Giselle?
I don't know.
No, Jillian. That was it. Jillian. That was why I got confused, because the name is, yes. So Jillian and the World War I flying ace are running around, and they're basically expecting that what's his face? Not Luvis, the other one. The Lord.
Oh, Byron.
Byron. Yeah. Bayon.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
They say it like 4 times in the chapter.
Bayon. So they're expecting that he's going to be confronted by someone else, but they spot him in the woods closer to them for some reason, and they don't. Anyway, we cut over to Luvis's confrontation with Emma. They talk a lot. They exchange banter and are like, I'm going to kill you. It's like, nah, this is going to be fun, and I'm going to kill you. He learns from this that Lucas is alive. And he says he kind of actually suspected this because he recognized the explosion tactic that they used before. He says it's the same trick that the kids pulled that day. And he gets really excited over this because, the prey that has eluded him for so long, he gets a chance to kill him as well. He actually strikes this really weird pose that his little shoulder demon guy mimics, which is an interesting little touch. And Emma wants to play a game. That's basic.
Yeah, that's essentially what covers that part.
They see Bayon, meanwhile, and Bayon says, "This is great. Reminds me of the past." And that's it. That's the chapter.
I mean, it's interesting that this finally put a twist in, like, the kid's success plan. And it puts some drama in it. It looks like one of the kids might have already been killed. I don't know if that's going to be what happened. I mean, we didn't see what happened here yet. And we haven't
They don't know
really
what happened to Zach and Pepe.
And we don't know what's happened yet with, like, a notion of when, like, kids just get killed in this series. We haven't really seen, like, kids getting slaughtered at all. That's sort of a different tone for the series almost. We've seen kids get killed, but usually, like, off-screen kind of stuff. So it's going to be interesting if we get, like, our first, like, on-screen, like, child being ripped apart by a demon or something like that. That's going to be some hardcore shit.
Probably not going to happen.
Probably not. But I dig it for putting a wrinkle in the plan, for putting, like, a twist out there. I just also love how deliciously evil Luvis is here. Like, I love him. Like, I'm so ecstatic. So very ecstatic right now.
I'm jubilant.
Like, it's just such, like, an over-the-top, grandiose way of doing that. I love that. So, yeah, that's more or less.
I don't really have a lot to say about it, honestly. It's okay. That happened.
All right, let's move on to the 7 Deadly Sins, chapter 260, What I Want to Tell You. So this will be an interesting one because I always forget these two characters' names. It's... Oh, fuck. Monpet and...
What? A weird name in 7 Deadly Sins?
Derere, that's it. Monpet and Derere.
Derere.
Or Derere. I don't know, fuck it. I'm calling her D, all right? That's Monpet and D. So...
DM.
Derriere? I'm calling her D. That's it. Guys, you can stop putting the name in. So, it's the other word for butt? What? So, they had their discussion that ended off last week saying, let's give our, commandments up to Zeldris. And this chapter opens up with Estarossa being like, I'm gonna take your shit, because I'm fucking crazy and evil. So, D goes in to attack him. He uses full counter, because it's pretty effective against him. And he even kills and takes the soul from the woman who's been hiding them out. And he's about to eat it. And, D's like, no, we can't let that soul be, go. That's the person who saved our lives. My pet's like, just let this one go. And Estarossa even has like a thing where he's like, that's none of my concern.
I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat it.
And Monpet teleports or switches that soul with an apple. So Estarossa is like, crunch. Apple, and Monpet stole the soul instead. He says, "Here, you protect this, and you get going. I'm going to handle this." So he starts fighting against Estarossa. He mentions like, "You stay away. You're a bad match against the full counter," and I'm fine because he gets like put in a headlock, and he's like, "Hey, I'm okay because once freed of silence, I can tell you the words I've kept hidden in my heart all this time," and Estarossa starts like cracking and craning his neck more and more and is about to like rip it off. And Monpet says, I'll tell you one last thing, poor Estarossa, something all the commandments know but you. And he says, say it. It'll be your last words. And then Monpet says, I'll tell you, it'll be my final goodbye. And he used his switching powers to switch himself and Estarosa's positions. So now he has Estarosa in the headlock. And he used his trickery power to basically switch their parts because they're about the same size and everything like that. And now he has the upper hand. And he tries using this Hellblaze. It's not really effective. He's getting himself choked out. And it looks like he's fainted.
He's fading! He's fading! His arm's gonna drop 3 times!
And that's when D starts to move a little bit closer. Estarosa, faked being asleep, grabs her by the throat, lifts his hand.
And Monsby is immediately... I love how Monsby is immediately like, no, not now!
God damn it! So he grabs her by the throat, is about to attack her, and that's when Mom Pet uses his power once more to swap his places with D. So now she has the chokehold apply, and he is in the position where we literally see his heart ripped out of his body, like punched straight through his body in a dramatic full-page spread. And I like that. It is a sort of a sweet chapter for these two characters, like how Mom Pet was kind of showed off here. I thought he was really cool. And it's a sort of sad way to see, presumably this is him dying, because...
Well, his heart is now separated from his body, so...
I mean, people have come back from worse in Seven Deadly Sins, but...
No, he's clearly going to die, Chris. He's going to die. He'll never be resurrected, just like Arthur. Arthur's dead.
Yeah. Never coming back.
Never coming back.
But I do like this scene. I love the way he uses his power at the end as a dramatic thing. It's just a nice way of setting it up for that ultimate kind of payoff at the end of him so replaces with Dee before she'd get killed.
I thought that it was a great little one-chapter story that went on here. You know, we don't really... I didn't really remember much about Derriere and Monspeed until they, were showed up and mentioned. Like, every single time that they went away, I was just kind of like, who were those again? Yeah.
I had to sit here and I'm like, what are these characters' names? God damn it.
But this little thing was really cool. I like the way that his power was highlighted in this way, and I really love the way it was used to switch them with the, neck cranking. And then he switches them in order to save Derriere's life. So a little bit.
Yeah.
And of course, it makes sense that he had to switch with her because, well, I guess he could have switched her body with. He could have switched her body with Estarosa's.
I suppose he could have, but then Estarosa would have probably had a faster reaction time to him putting her in a headlock, I presume.
Yeah. Well, he made a snap decision.
Yeah. He did it for love.
All right. That is going to bring us to Black Clover, page 150, Collapse. Last time we saw a bunch of... Why is the Wizard King one of the highlighted characters on the title page? Is he going to be like the new Yuno now?
Yuno's still in there, so...
Well, Yuno at least is involved in all of this.
Still doesn't appear in this chapter, I don't think.
No, but... We see a bunch of the people in the Golden Knights who are possessed now turning on their comrades, beginning with Luck and the other guy in Noel's group. I don't know this guy's name.
Wait, is that Benjamin Benfunk?
It might be.
Fuck, I hope it is. There's a coworker at work called Ben who I just call Ben Benfunk, and he doesn't get it, and he gets really annoyed every time I do it. So, Ben Benfunk is my new favorite character in this.
So yeah, they're turning on people, and Luck immediately tries to, tries to attack Noelle, but he actually just misses her. And he's just like, "Whoops! I haven't used magic, Noelle. I just kind of missed."
I think that is Ben Benfunk. All right, so remember this, Nick. That's Ben Benfunk and Luck. They're the team there.
Gotcha. Magic breaks out. Noelle and is forced to defend herself. Luck is surrounding himself in all sorts of magic, and he's I'm evil now. We cut over to Zora and Asta and Maria Leona, none of whom have been possessed, but Raya seemingly has gotten a big power boost from the same ritual, I guess. And he starts talking to Asta. He says, maybe it's because I'm a liar. Ah, it's a pun. See, Raya, liar. Ah, gotcha. He says, I've always been able to tell when people lie because of that. So, Anti-Magic Kid, when you were talking earlier about how we could be friends and stuff, I could tell you meant what you said. It's sad. You actually moved me a bit. But I'm going to kill you now. But I do like the little explanation, because it's like, hey, he actually bought into the same talk that a human said back in the past. And from what he believes, they were betrayed. So he can't trust someone, even if he actually believes that they're not lying. It's like, hey, that was the result of that, so it's not going to change my mind, even if you actually do believe this and want to be my friend. So nice little connection there.
Yeah.
And he starts using combination mimicry magic and stuff. And Asta's like, he's casting spells with different attributes at the same time. Wasn't he doing that before?
Well, no.
No. I was confused because of the combination golem. That's right.
The big weakness.
Now he's using different type of mimicry at the same time. So he has definitely gotten a power boost from this. My mistake. Okay. He should just use painting magic anyway.
Don't worry, you get your painting magic.
So he's gotten a power boost. Marileona is still able to try and counter him. Marileona says, hey, do you get it now, you fucking idiot, Asta? Stop trying to be people's friends. Just kill them. And Asta says, all right, I'll win and I'll make a way for us to be able to understand each other. So, all right, fair enough. And Marileona's like, all right, well, you better hurry up and do that. Otherwise, we're just going to kill this guy. Raya uses a combination of spatial magic and light magic to attack them from all directions. And just as they're thinking like, well, this is going to suck, all of a sudden the newly possessed Real comes crashing through the wall with this Hydra magic thing. So things are looking bad for the good guys.
Uh-oh. I hate Real, though. He shows up.
At least he's bad now.
Yeah, but his stupid face with these stupid ugly tattoos. Oh, hi, Raya, it's me. I'm a fucking unlikable dickbag. God, I hate that kid. Let's talk about One Piece. I want to wash that taste in my mouth. I didn't mind the chapter, by the way. I just hate Real that much.
Yeah, I agree. It was just, an action chapter that I don't really have a lot to say about. This is kind of about what I expected. Like, things are bad for the good guys because there's a bunch of possessed, partners in there that are attacking them now.
I will note, I did think it was extremely cool when Raya combined the powers and we see him using spatial magic with light magic like that. That is extremely awesome. It's him being like, I'm teleporting inside and I'm making sure you never fucking see me again. Like, you're never going to hit me one more time.
Also, lasers from every direction.
Yeah.
One Piece Chapter 899, The Final Fortress. Panic amongst the Big Mom pirates. They're like, what the fuck is going on? Where's the cake? What is happening? What is going on? Yeah, no one really knows what's going on. And Prospero, meanwhile, is actually finally starting to succumb to his wound, because it turns out that just crafting a new arm for yourself out of candy doesn't stop the fact that your arm was ripped off. Which I like that detail. Yeah, so we see the cake has basically finally arrived at Cacao Island, and Mama's, coming after it. And Prospero is like, there are 3 possible outcomes of what could happen here if Mama eats a poisoned cake. Mama could die, or it won't work, but it will taste bad, and then Mama will be really, really mad. Or it doesn't work and it's actually good. But come on, there's no way that's going to be the case. I love this quote though. Steel yourselves. Our fate rests within the flavor of that cake.
It's quite a cool dramatic line to have.
Can you imagine, like, if you hadn't read this arc up to this point and you're just like, it's been a couple of years since I checked out One Piece. What was going on? Our fate rests within the flavor of that cake.
You're like, I wonder what's going to happen in the penultimate chapter to chapter 900.
Yeah.
I decided to read that instead of chapter 900.
Meanwhile, Morgans and Stussy have left without anybody noticing because of all the chaos. And everyone's like, Jesus Christ, can you imagine if word gets out about all of this? Stop them, especially the Newsy. And we cut around to a number of the surrounding islands as well, seeing the people reacting to the destruction that has happened, to the stuff that's going on, etc. Also, there is a random girl in a cat girl dress thing running away.
Yeah, well, that's Floof Island. They're all about cats there. Or it was Oda like, I want to draw a fetish for this chapter.
Hero does it all the time. Why not?
Well, that cat girl would have joined Fairy Tail or the Straw Hats in this case if this was Hero.
And then Lusana would have bitched that there was another girl who had an animal aesthetic. Joining the team.
Question why the fuck they brought her back to begin with.
Mama lands in front of the wedding cake, but we cut away before we actually see what happens with that. Meanwhile, Luffy and Sanji are back on the Thousand Sunny, reunited with the other Straw Hats. And they're being now bombarded by the fleet that is, come up behind them, and they're actually slowly catching up to them. But the Gerba 66 intercepts them. Turns out Judge is actually helping out his kids with this whole thing, commanding the fleet, shooting cannons at everybody, and he looks down from the parapets of the castle ship thing that he's standing at the top of. And he just kind of shouts down at the Straw Hats and says, "What does he mean to you, Straw Hat Luffy? This is an inescapable den of danger. The territory of Big Mom, Emperor of the Sea. Did you really risk your life just to take him back? Sanji is the failure of Germa. His skin is no armor. He busies himself with menial cooking. He has no royal pride. He is swayed by pointless emotions and exposes himself to danger for the sake of the weak. His mentality is soft. He is flawed as a soldier. He is a failure." And it was just kind of really quiet and tense for a little while. The movie's like, "Bye, thank you."
Thank you for listing off all the best features about Sanji.
It's a really cool little moment because he doesn't even understand that Judge was insulting one of his friends. He's just like, "That was weird. Why was he just talking about how great you are, Sanji?" I love Luffy.
I do love it. It also goes.
And also the Chopper's like, "Yeah, I know, right?"
Like I love like the nature of Luffy that he's just like, but those are his best qualities.
It's a great little panel in reaction to the whole thing, because I'm just like, that's not what was happening. And Jinbei's like, "I made the right call. You guys are awesome." But even with this new assistance, they're still not out of trouble, because apparently we need to have like 5 different reveals of someone to come help the Straw Hats. There's another fleet. Remember that when they were pursuing everyone, a branch of the fleet went off and circled around the island to get in front of the Thousand Sunny, just in case Smoothie wouldn't catch them. And they're in firing range and are launching stuff at the Sunny. Shit's going down. What's his face with the genie? Whatever his fucking name is. He's there, and they're attacking the mast of the ship. Carrot has to deflect it. Or is it Carrot deflecting it, or is that Sanji doing it? I can't tell.
I think it's Carrot, because they talk about Carrot a couple times.
They mentioned Carrot, yeah. So they're in real trouble. The situation is truly desperate. But then a massive shape comes surging out of the depths, bulging the very water. And holy shit, it's Watatsumi from Hodi's group. Just comes bursting out of the water, just sends a bunch of ships flying out of there. And Jinbei, I think, pokes his head into the water to see what the fuck. Oh yeah, he dives underwater to see what the hell's going on. And it's his old crew. They've all come to see him off and to help him. So, chapter 900, Chris, it seems is going to be the chapter that Jinbei 100% officially joins the Straw Hats.
Indeed.
Isn't that going to be something?
That would be a very nice way to do chapter 900. I like this chapter. You know, there has been a lot of big surprises coming back to be like, oh, these guys, like Germa's helping the Straw Hats now, and the fucking the fire tank pirates are helping the Straw Hats still, and these guys, Peckhams has come back to help the Straw Hats now, and now Jinbei's old crew is coming back to help them with led by, I guess, their new captain of Aladdin. I don't know. But I still really like it because these are all things that have been placed up ahead of time. And we'd had so long where we're just like, how are the Straw Hats going to get out of this? How are the Straw Hats going to get out of this? And every
they've made a lot of friends. That's how.
And you're like, all these twists make sense. These are all pieces that have been set up. And I do really legitimately enjoy this as like a moment of like, hey, we're here to send you off, Captain Jinbei, former Captain Jinbei. We're still your subordinates until you leave the territory, right? It's just a very sweet way to send it off. Yeah. And I love Jinbei as a character. He's just been
especially because cool. He specifically separated himself from them so that they would be safe when he confronted Big Mom, and now they've come back full circle after seeing the little hints of help that they were offering him before. But now they come and they're like, "Hey, yep, we're here. We're just gonna proudly proclaim that you're our companion. We're gonna help you out." So
yeah. I like it a lot.
And that's going to do it for Weekly Manga Recap this week, guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here on twitch.tv/Rolity and smashcast.tv/Rolity, where we record the show normally at about 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, currently on Thursdays. And if we do have to make changes to that, though, you can follow us on Twitter for updates. He is at Rolity. I am at Nick F. Time, and the official podcast account is at WMR Podcast. You can check out past episodes of the show either on weeklymangarecap.podbean.com, on our YouTube channel, or on iTunes. And if you check us out in those two places, be sure to like and comment and subscribe and all that good stuff. It helps with the algorithms and everything. And you can help us to become kings of the hobby section on iTunes and defeat our eternal rivals, the woodworkers.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking of something, but if you want to ask us a question, if you want to send us feedback, if you want to send a suggestion for us to read, Chris, then you can send all that stuff via email to weeklymangarecap@yahoo.com. Special thanks go out to all of our Patreon supporters. Your support allows us to create all sorts of bonus content for you guys to enjoy, such as Nick being tortured by a random imposter in the most recent bonus episode of the podcast. Be sure to check that out. It's a bunch of ideas.
It's some very great ideas. We'll say that. And, by the way, I want to give a quick shout out to Wensleydale Cheddar, who tweeted to you, Nick, the wish that you asked for. It's the various characters of Pokemon Adventures as Pokemon trainers, or as Power Rangers. Some very cool art there.
I'll have to check that out.
You can catch it at Wensley Cheddar. I think it's very cool. Someone who drew that while we were having this discussion, too.
Nice. Also, special thanks to, speaking of artwork, Steve Man, our talker artist. You can check out his work in a number of different places. He's got his own Patreon as well. And to Infamous Planet, who made the frame for us and helps us out on another couple of different things for the podcast. Thank you guys, and we will check you out next time when we will have, I guess, started reading something else.
Yeah, well, first, let's do our MVPs.
Oh, God. I knew I forgot something. Let's do that first. Yes. I guess I just kind of skipped down when I was doing this stuff. Favorite series and MVP of the week?
I'm gonna make mine quick. I think my favorite series this week was Seven Deadly Sins, and in that same way, my character of the week is going to be Monpiet. Or Monpete, however you pronounce it.
My favorite series was also the Seven Deadly Sins. I really liked the way that it played out. It told this almost complete little story all on its own that I really enjoyed. Despite the fact that there was a lot of action, that one was the one that I felt had like the best combination, even with when you consider Deku's training leading up to that point. And favorite character, I think I got to agree with you on Monspeed as well. I think that was just the best chapter overall this week, and especially in terms of like a character perspective. So that is going to do it. Do we have something that we're going to be starting reading now, Chris?
Yes, we do. We are going to take a break from the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, guys. Pokemon Adventure. So everyone who's clamoring for JoJo Part 5, we will still do it. Just it's going to be taking a break. Instead, we're going to be taking a recommendation from Drake, who, not the rapper, but it might be. He might be sending us a message. I don't know. But it's a series called Akatsuki no Yona. It's a Korean-based fantasy series about the Princess Yona as she and her bodyguard Hawk escape their castle when Yona's father is murdered and the kingdom is overtaken. It is apparently an action-based kind of twist to a series as Yona builds her group of rebels and becomes accustomed to living in the wild. So I'm looking forward to checking this series out.
Awesome. All right.
That's it. Anybody, any last thoughts to send us off with?
I had to go to the freaking Verizon store today, Chris, because my phone stopped working. What they don't tell you is that if the contacts that are backed up through just the Google Cloud are not everything. So if they can't actually turn on your phone at all to get at the stuff inside of it, you lose a lot of things when they switch over to your new phone. So I like it for the most part. It's just really weird not having like any of my freaking contacts on there.
Do you need me to send you a text message or something?
I think that you're not on there. Hang on, let me check what we've got in here.
Yeah, like, let me see. Did I put you in under Fat Shed or Ugly?
Yeah. Oh, it's so awkward because I don't know my way around this thing. But, oh, it did populate everyone. Yay. Okay, good.
There you go.
It just took forever to actually load everyone in. There you are. Okay. Hey. We're good to go.
Ah, finally. All is right in the world, guys. Roseanne's back on television and doing great. Nick's phone contacts have transferred over. 2018's finally turned itself around, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.